Hi, my name is Mark, and today I'd like to tell you more about S.T.A.L.K.E.R, the board game. This is a game published by Awaken Realms. Thanks Awaken Realms for sending this game for review. This game is based on a video game, and the video game was based on an old Russian science fiction book. In this game you play as stalkers, bounty hunters, adventurers who go into the zone. The zone is this area near Chornobyl plant where there are different monsters and anomalies and mutations in the world of the game. There was the first accident in Chernobyl, and then there was a second one, and now the whole area is full of strange, dangerous stuff, and you go inside to find some items, find some loot, and sell it and earn some money. In this video I will try to tell you more or less how the game plays, or maybe not how the game plays, but rather what the game is about, because this is a quite complex game with different play modes. I did an unboxing video as well. You can find link in the description of this video. Watch the unboxing if you want to see more components or the components in details. This is a base game that I have here with standees, but with sand-drop, but no fancy miniatures. So let me tell you how the game plays, what the game is about, and then I will tell you what I think about S.T.A.L.K.E.R the board game. So this is S.T.A.L.K.E.R the board game, at least part of it. This is part of a mission, but the whole game is quite big. It's got a lot of rules, but also different ways to play the game. In this video I will try to focus on the campaign mode, because I think this is the mode that creators of this game would like you to play at the beginning when you are learning the game. If you play through the campaign that contains 6 missions, then you will know all the rules, then you will know how to play the game, and then you will be able to go to zone survival mode, which is essentially playing one-shot scenarios not connected together with any campaign. Of course you can start playing S.T.A.L.K.E.R with zone survival, but I think playing through the campaign will give you a good idea how the game works. Inside the game box you will also find this gameplay example, and this is really well done. It's like a tutorial mission, a quick one, and this short rulebook tells you exactly how to set up the game and how to play it. It explains the basic mechanics of the game and basic rules, and I highly recommend playing through this gameplay example even without reading the rulebook, because this explains a lot of things really well. And if you read the rulebook after playing this gameplay example, you will understand how the game works, and you will understand a lot of things, because the rulebook has got 44 pages and there is a lot to learn. So playing through this tutorial scenario is really helpful. So if you want to start and play campaign, you have to create this campaign binder, and you will find it in the game box, and it contains a few pages that will guide you through each step of campaign missions in the game. If you have played ISS Vanguard, it was a little similar, because there you had this ship phase where you did different things and then you went on a mission. This is more basic. There are not that many things that you can do in between missions, but before you play any mission you will start with zone navigation, and in this game you will get this cool map that looks like this, and this map will contain different stickers. I know that some of you don't like to stick anything on game components. You get these sticker sheets, and the game during gameplay will tell you what to place where. But in the game box you will find 4 sets of this map and all those sticker sheets. So don't worry, you can, even if you use one, you have still 3 more left, so you can enjoy placing stickers on this map. And this map will tell you different options that you have during zone navigation. Like you have these green areas where you will meet contacts and different people. You have this blue areas where you will be able to find some equipment and weapons and stuff like this, and you have these red areas that are different missions. A1 is the first one. I have unlocked A2 and B1. So you can choose a mission, but during zone navigation you choose one of the other places and you choose it. You will read specific story text in the script book. There is not that much story in this game. There is some story on cards and in the campaign, but this is not a story-driven game like Tainted Grey or like, I don't know, ISS Vanguard. There is less story because the whole script book is like basically 3 pages and that's it, because the other side of this book is mission guide. So after you choose a location, you will read the script from this book, and then you will be able to meet your contacts. You have this page here where you will put new cards, and there are different contacts that you will meet in the game, and you can talk to them. You can choose up to 3 contacts, each contact only once, and do the things written on their card. Those are like traders and companions and people that will allow you to buy new equipment or sell stuff. After you do the things with your contacts, you will go on a mission. And going on a mission requires you to take your S.T.A.L.K.E.R card, your player board, and different equipment. Choose your equipment. During the game, you have this stash where you will store different cards and weapons and everything. And before each mission, you will be able to choose things from your stash and equip yourself with the equipment you already have, or maybe with the new equipment that you have gained during the game. And then you will have to open your mission guide on a specific page. You have this prologue. You have setup information, what tiles to place on the table, what enemies you have to choose, and how to set up everything. And when you do all of this, you are ready to play. Then there is, of course, an epilogue that you read after the mission is successful. I have created a map. This is not exactly the map from any scenario, because I wanted to show you the basics of the gameplay. I will try not to go into too many details because the game is quite complex, and the YouTube how to play videos that I've seen are 1 hour or longer. So I try to focus on the maybe basic or overall idea how the game plays, so you know what S.T.A.L.K.E.R is about. So this is the map. But before you place your character on the map, you have to take your player board. And the player board has got many different important things. Like on the top you have this health bar. When you place this green cube, it tells you how much life point you have. It's taken from your S.T.A.L.K.E.R card. You have to choose your hero before the campaign, and you will use this hero for the whole campaign. If you play solo, you play with only one S.T.A.L.K.E.R, and if you play multiplayer, there will be others. The game even suggests that if you play solo, you should use only one and not multiple, because they say that the whole idea of S.T.A.L.K.E.R is to feel like lonely and fight against the brutal world of the brutal zone. So it's cool that the creators don't force you to play with multiple characters. So you have your character with health points, information which die you use during shooting, some special abilities. There are many S.T.A.L.K.E.Rs in the game box. Each of them have different stats and different abilities. Then you have this health bar. Here you have the ammo for your weapon and your weapon. And again, there are many different weapons in the game. They have their accurate range. Like this is the optimal range to shoot the gun from. Maximum range, type of ammunition, and how much ammo do you have. The shoot actions that you can use, like single shot, aimed shot, some additional abilities that are unique to each weapon. Then you have space for your armor. I have the sunrise suit. Here you have space for your stuff that you keep in your pocket, like focus token and different bolts. Bolts are used during the game to perform some of the actions. Here you have space for your artifacts. Artifacts are like special item, like strange item that you get from the zone, from anomalies, and anomalies are like this dangerous environmental things that wait for you on the map. If you manage to find the artifact, you can grab it and it will give you additional actions and abilities. And the important thing here is also are these 2 sliders that you will use to slide down and up, mostly down. because those sliders tell you how many actions you have left in your turn. Each round of the game you will play 2 turns, and each turn contains like you will have a few action points that you have to spend. If you play the game multiplayer, you have 2 action each turn. Each time you use your action, you will slide it down, then again you will slide it down with another action, and then each enemy with line of sight to your stalker attack your character. So at the end of your turn, after you spend all your action points, enemies that see you will attack you. And then the next player continues, and so on and so on. And then there's your second turn. Again, you can spend your action points. Again, enemies will activate. And after all stalkers use 2 turns, then there is the end of the round phase where enemies activate, you will draw a special card, and enemies will move around the map and fight you and do other things, because here they only shoot you. But if you play solo, you have these 2 overlays that says solo stalker, and you place them here inside because you have 3 actions instead of 2 each turn. You are alone, you are playing solo, and your life is hard enough, so you have more action points to spend. Below you have your backpack that can contain maximum 6 cards. Those cards can be items that you will find, like this. We have grenade pack, bandage pack, grenade, or tourist delight that you can use. You can store additional weapons that you may find during the game in your backpack, or armor, or additional artifacts or attachments, because you'll also find attachments in this game that you can attach to your weapons and armor. And this is really cool because here you have the symbol on the right of your armor, and there is the symbol on the left side of the attachment. If those symbols match, you can use this attachment to this particular armor. And the same is with weapons. If I would like to use attachment to my bolt action rifle, I have to search for attachment with this symbol on it. So it's really cool. We have this elite stalker tile that allows you to heal to H point or gain a focus token. Focus token is a token that you can use in this game to reroll your combat roll or defense roll or anomaly roll. After you use it, you have to flip it and you have to pass it to another player. If you play alone, you just flip it like this, and this will flip back at the end of the round. So you can use it once per round. Then we have enemies. The enemies that you use depend on the scenario, and the game tells you to place different types of enemies. There are different enemies like human enemies and different mutants and monsters and stuff like this. They have their name. They have their move range, so they will move up to 2 spaces on the map. Here they have the life points. A lot of enemies only have 1 life point, so you have to hit them properly only once to kill them. The downside is that you have maybe 14 life points in this game, but for example, this enemy deals 7 damage when he attacks. So if this enemy hits you twice, you will die, you will get a critical wound. Here is the line of sight range, and this means that the enemy will see up to 3 spaces in front of it, 1 space to the left and right, and the enemy doesn't see anything behind him. Here is information of the locations on its body that we can hit, like head and torso, and depending on the successes that we have on the die, we deal sometimes damage or light wound or heavy wound. And here is information about the weapon that this enemy is using. Like this is a range weapon, deals 7 damage and is range 3. And a special ability that sometimes is activated when you take the enemy activation card. So different enemies, they have different stats and different abilities, and we have these anomalies. There are a lot of them, and anomalies are placed on the map. They have special effects that are activated when you cross on this anomaly overlay. There are a lot of them, but basically they look like this. They have a lot of different symbols, and you place them on the map. one is placed here. I'm not sure if you see it. It's underneath this anomaly here. And if you walk on one of the spaces on the map with the anomaly symbols, you will have to roll a special anomaly die, and if this symbol matches one of the symbols that you have triggered, this anomaly will activate and it will do only bad stuff. So anomalies are bad, like a lot of things in this game. Sometimes you may want to activate anomalies because they are deadly both for you but also for your enemies. So the enemies in this game don't like anomalies and they try to avoid it. So maybe you want to activate anomaly to hurt your enemies, but basically it's good to avoid it. But sometimes you have to go to anomaly in order to retrieve the artifact that's hidden below anomaly. To do it, you need this echo detector. You need to go to anomaly. You have to use echo detector. Then you will place anomaly artifact token on one of the symbols, and if you pick it up, you will get some cool artifact that you can either use or sell in between missions. So anomalies and different enemies. Your hero, you have also this radiation tracker. You start with 0 or more if you use one of the, if you have one of the artifacts, because they have some starting radiation that is lowered by your armor, but basically you may start with a higher level of radiation. But basically in this game, if you do different things on the map that trigger radiation, you will increase it from the green area to the yellow, and then purple, orange, red and black. And the higher radiation of your character, the worse, because at the end of the round you will roll the dice shown here. So for example, for the orange area only 2, but for the black area you will roll 4 green dice, and those dice have stars on them, and the number of stars you roll, this is the damage you will get from radiation at the end of the round. So you have to be careful and not to do too many things that will cause your radiation to rise. And here we have the map. I will take one map tile here so I can show you different spaces. Here are different spaces that I divided by this gray line. It only shows you how the tile is divided, but it doesn't block any line of sight or movement or anything. Then you have this yellow walls that block your movement and block your line of sight. Here you have, for example, doors, and here you have windows. Windows, for example, for human enemies and for your character, you can treat them just like an open space. You can go inside and go out, and it doesn't block your line of sight. But some enemies may not be able to walk through windows. Some spaces have this shield here, and if you attack someone in an area like this, or someone attacks you, you get less damage. Some areas have this radiation symbol. Anytime you walk through them or perform some actions, you will raise your radiation by the number shown here. And of course we have enemies. In my version they are like standees, and there was a version on the GameFound campaign where you could get miniatures. In this game it's very important how the standees are placed on the map. They shouldn't lay down like here, but I wanted to show you how it looks like. Normally they will stand, and because this game is very tactical, it's important in what side they are directed, because this is always front and left and right and back of the enemy. So their line of sight depends how they are located on the board and to what side they are looking. How the game round looks like. In each round you will start with throwing an event. There are some random events like this that sometimes you have to add to your event stack, but there are also events dedicated to the scenario you are playing. If you are playing the campaign, each mission in the campaign has got a cool box like this with some cards inside dedicated to a specific scenario. And sometimes you have like dedicated mission events that you have to use. Sometimes you have to add random events to your mission events. Sometimes you have like special cards that you will use during the mission. So each mission has got different cards. Sometimes even you will place cards on the map, like here. Here's a card, special card that you had to place during the first mission that tells you, peek inside, you may perform this action on a space adjacent to this building's window. So if you are adjacent to this window, you can peek inside and you can flip this card and read what it says. Or here, this card, this is the escape route, and at some point in the game it will tell you to rotate the card and you can perform a special action. So this is also really cool because even though you use the same tiles in different missions, thanks to this card overlays, you can perform additional actions and additional things. But you basically start with an event, either mission event or random event, depending on the setup. And those events, they have different different things happen. Sometimes the instant part, this is what happens when you reveal this event. And some events, they have this end of round effect that activates at the end of the whole round. So different events, they do different things. As you can guess, a lot of events are negative for your Stalker because this is a nasty game. The only miniatures I have in my version, this is the basic version, are the miniatures of the main characters, and you have a dog. This is a Sandrop version, so this miniature has got this wash. Normally in the basic version it's just plain gray. So you reveal this event and then you will play your turns. As I said earlier, you have these two sliders that you will slide down to perform different actions. And what actions you can do? You have this cool help card that summarizes all the actions you can take. Basically, this should be here. Basically, you can move on the map. You can move up to 3 spaces. You have to remember about the radiation level of the tiles or the spaces that you move through or move to or move from. So you have 3 spaces that you can move. Anytime you move somewhere, you will place this attention token on the yellow side. Yellow side is like, it tells your enemies that something is happening, maybe they have heard something, but they are not really sure. They may or may not go and look for this token at the end of the round, but it's not really that serious. But at some points during the game, this red attention token will turn to, this yellow will turn to red, and when the red attention token is placed on the board, it means that the enemies know where you are, they know something is happening, and they will try to search you. In this game you have 2 activation decks, yellow one and red one. At the end of the round, when the enemies activate, you will take the card from the deck that corresponds to the color of your attention token. So if it's red, you will take a red card, and believe me, the red cards are not that good. Or yellow if you moved carefully around the map. Anytime if you enter line of sight of your enemy, you have to place this token on the red side on your space. Like for example, this enemy, he's got line of sight 3, so 1, 2, 3, he can see you. You draw line of sight in all directions, like left, right, up and down. You cannot diagonally draw line of sight. If you go away from line of sight of your enemy, let's say I move from here to here, I have to place the token on the first space adjacent to the line of sight of the enemy, so the enemy knows that I moved around the corner here, but he doesn't know what happened next. So you can move. You can also move carefully. This token normally starts on your board. You place it after your first movement, but if you move carefully, you only move 1 space, but you don't place this attention token on the board. The next action you can do is prepare, and then you will gain the focus token that you can spend anytime during each roll to reroll your dice, and you can get 1 bolt. The bolts are used to do different things on the map. I will tell them about them in a few seconds, but Basically, the prepare action allows you to get one bolt, get focus token, and reorganize the equipment in your backpack, so you can maybe take another weapon or put something into your backpack, maybe take another armor. You can reorganize your character. Anytime you use an action, you move your slider one space down. A lot of actions that you do have this blue square with this triangle, and this means that this action costs one action point, but actually some actions, they only have this blue square without this triangle, and this means this is a free action that you can perform without spending action points. But we can move, we can carefully move, we can prepare, we can reload if we have a specific type of ammo clip. There are 3 types and different weapons use different ammo clips. If you have this ammo token, you can reload, you can spend your action point to reload. If you have this focus token on your player board, this action is free, you don't have to spend action point. To reload your weapon, you will have to place as many red cubes on your player board as shown on your weapon card. Then you can pick up something, either a loot token, they are placed on the map. Each enemy, when enemy dies, you get this at least a loot token. You can pick it up and it tells you to get different things like items, maybe some ammo clip, or different things. Or you can pick up the artifact. If you manage to find artifact with your echo detector, you can pick it up and then you will randomly take one artifact of a specific type from this artifact deck. What else? Then we can do the bolts and nuts action, which means that you can take one bolt and you can cover it any symbol of the anomaly. Remember, if you enter this anomaly overlay, you have to roll this die, and if the symbol on the die matches one of the symbols you moved through, you will activate the anomaly and do bad things. But you can use your bolts to cover those symbols. Another action that you can do is decoy. You can spend one bolt from your pocket, and then you will place those attention token nearby your enemies on the board, and they will activate. So this is a decoy. They will maybe go to other direction, maybe they will turn around, and you will be able to sneak past them or maybe kill them, depends what's your plan. The last standard action is knife. If you are on a space with your enemy, you can try to stab your enemy. You will roll 3 green dice, and depending on the number of stars that you roll, modified by maybe some abilities or equipment that you have, you will hit your enemy. You have to choose your body part, head or torso, and depending on the stars that you rolled, you will deal either damage or light and heavy wound. Anytime you deal light and heavy wound, you take one of the enemy wounds card. They are double-sided and they should tell you what happens if it's a light wound and what happens if it's a heavy wound. So you can move around, you can pick up things, you can use your bolts to cover anomalies, or you can use your bolts to disturb your enemies. You can use your knife, and you can use all the actions that are shown on your cards. Like here, you can spend 1 ammo to do a single shot or aimed shot, and each action is different. For example, this character I'm playing, Milady, she's a sniper. She's really good at high range, so if she's at range 4 or higher from the enemy, she will use 3 yellow die, and then I can use aimed shot. It will add 2 green die, and I will roll all those 5 dice, and the number of stars I have, the more stars I have, the bigger chance that I will kill the enemy. I can also pick the body part, but she's not that great at close range. So fighting means rolling dice. Depending on your weapon and skills, you will roll different types of die. You can of course spend your action points to activate your equipment. After you spend all your action points, and the slider is down here, you will do what it says. Each enemy with line of sight to your stalker attacks you. So the enemies will attack if they see you. Then there is another player turn. If you're playing solo, then you have another 3 actions here. And when you use all your actions on these 2 turns, your activation ends, and then we go to enemies and zone phase. Depending on the attention token and the color of attention token, you have to take different enemy activation card. You take one of the cards, let's say red, and you do what it says, like all enemies move up to 2 spaces toward the closest activation marker. There can be more if there are more players. Red enemies move toward the closest activation marker. All enemies attack a target in their line of sight. And the red enemies perform the special ability on the card. And then, for example, only during enemy activation step, enemies will throw a grenade. So, after all enemies move and fight and attack you, they will end their activation. Then you will suffer damage from your radiation. If it's on higher level, you have to roll those green dice. You have to lower the number of damage with your armor, and what's left, you have to lower your health points. Then you lower your radiation level by 1 segment, so it goes from yellow to green, or from, for example, orange to yellow. After that, you have to discard all the bolts token from the board. Then the enemies discard some tokens, because they also can have like pin down tokens that if they have the pin down token, they will not activate on the enemy activation phase of the round. After that, you have to reduce the attention of your stalker, so it goes from red to yellow, and from yellow it goes back to your board. But if you are in a line of sight of your enemy, this will not be lowered. Then you have to resolve any end of round effects from those event cards, and the round ends. You have to move up all your sliders. If you use this elite stalker token, you have to flip it back, and you can play another round first by taking event card, and then by performing all your actions. And this is how to play the game. You have to complete your mission. Different missions, they have different goals, so it's up to you. It's really cool, because even though you could play the same mission another time, the mission box has got different cards that you place on the map, for example, or different event cards. And sometimes you have 2 or 3 cards with the same number, and you have to randomly pick one during setup. So sometimes, for example, you may go in a room and you will find something in this room, but maybe another time, if you would like to play the same scenario again, you will find different things, or you'll have different events. So they are kind of randomized each time you play the game. But if you finish the campaign and you have finished the game, or if you don't want to play the campaign, you can play the zone survival mode. And this is a separate mode that has most of the rules the same, but it allows you to play like one-shot scenarios without any campaign, without any progress. You will set up the game, play a scenario, and you will pack the game, and that's it. You have some rules are different, like the setup is different. There are a lot of additional tokens and cards and setup cards, event cards, and everything. But basically, you have different script book for the zone survival, but you also have 10 different scenarios to choose from, like surrounded, frontal assault, escape, secret mission, gather supplies, scouting, manhunt, boss hunt, recon, enforce, and elimination. And you have to choose one of the scenarios. Each of the scenarios give different goals, and you have to do different things. After you choose a scenario, you have to choose a map. And in this map book, you have 10 different map layouts. So this is really cool, because each scenario can be placed on each map. So 10 times 10 is like 100 different combinations how to play the game. But that's not all, because during the setup of your chosen scenario and map, There are different setup cards, and you always take 4 of them, and they add some additional events, additional side quests and mission and stuff. So even though there are 100 options to play the zone survival scenarios, you will randomize events, you have special events only for this mode, and all those setup cards and some characters and some special cards. So those cards here are only used for the zone survival mode, which is really, really cool. And that's how you basically play S.T.A.L.K.E.R, the board game. This is what the game is about. Let me tell you my opinion on this game. This game surprised me a lot, and in a positive way, of course, because I knew what the game is about, but I was not up to date with the GameFound campaign. And I remember, of course, when the campaign was live, I remember more or less what they unlocked, and I watched some videos, but it was a long time ago, just like with most crowdfunding campaigns. And today in 2025, I didn't remember a lot of it. I just remember that this is kind of a little adventure, tactical, combat, strategy maybe game. So I wanted to play it. But I have to say that I'm really surprised how well designed the game is. It's not that other games are not well designed, or that maybe other Awaken games are bad, but when I play this game, I really feel that this is a really good design, and everything is really well designed, and there are a lot of ideas and mechanics in this game that work so well. First thing I really like is that this game is very tactical and strategy, and you have to really be careful on the map. You have to plan your moves and plan your actions. You have to be stealthy and you have to sneak. You cannot attack everyone, and you really feel this whole vibe of a dangerous area, this zone, this Chernobyl mutations, and that you have not enough resources, not enough food, not enough ammo, and you only have some of it, and you have to use it really clever and wisely. And you can feel everything of it when you play the game. The enemies, they move around, they follow you, you have this attention marker, and it's important how the enemies are placed, what direction they are facing. If you sneak from behind, it's easier. If you sneak from front, it's not so good for you. You have these anomalies. So the gameplay is really interesting, it plays really cool. For me, it reminds me a little of the old video games I played, like, for example, Fallout, where you have this round-based combat with different enemies and different actions. I have not played Fallout, the board game, of course, but when I was young, still a kid, I played a lot of Fallout and Jagged Alliance. And this game reminds me of those old games, maybe even Metal Gear Solid, where you have to be clever and not run around using your shotgun. This is cool. Another cool thing is that when I first opened the box, I thought, okay, there is the campaign and it's only got 6 scenarios, 6 missions, it's not much. But after playing this game, after opening the game, I discovered that you have this whole zone survival mode where you can play different scenarios on different maps with different setup cards, and you have so many combinations how to play the game. And this is really cool, and I have this feeling that the campaign in this game is this like introductory mode that allows you to get to know the game, to learn all the rules, to be fluent with the game and know everything. After you finish the campaign, you can play the zone survival mode 100 times and you will not be bored, because you have so many variants and combination of scenarios, maps, setups, cards, items, artifacts, weapons, and attachments and armors. There are plenty of cards and enemies and everything. So this is really cool. The story is fun, the gameplay is fun, the game looks really nice, even though this is the base edition without any miniatures. I have to say that playing with standees sometimes in this edition can be not that perfect, because in this game you will rotate the standees. So sometimes you will see the front of the standee is okay, sometimes you will see the back of the standee and this is plain black, but sometimes you will have to see the side of it, depending how it's rotated on the board. And because standees are flat, and if many standees on the map, they are placed sideways, you only see the side of it and you have no idea what the standee, which type of enemy is each standee. So with miniatures, they are like 3D and you see the miniatures from each side. So I think it's easier to recognize what type of enemy is standing on the board. With standees, you have to look from left and look from right and guess what type of enemy is, because sometimes from the shape of the standee, it's hard to tell what enemy is like coming into your area or who are you attacking. So this is the first thing. Another thing that some people may find annoying is that this game is kind of random. The combat, your combat and your attacks are based on dice roll. You have this focus token that you can use to reroll. You have some special abilities that allow you to get additional like successes on the dice, but it's still rolling dice, and if you are unlucky, you will waste your ammo and you will have not many successes and you will not hit the enemy. When you hit your enemy and you draw this enemy injury card, some cards can kill enemy with one action. Sometimes you have to shoot this enemy 2 or 3 times because of the wounds that you have dealt. The events are random, the enemy behavior is kind of random, but I have to say that for me it's not a problem because it goes really well with the theme of the game. I can imagine that if you are a stalker in the zone with all those enemies and all those anomalies and the monsters and mutants, everything is unpredictable. Your weapon can malfunction, maybe everything you have planned doesn't went as you have planned. There are some things that are unpredictable, that are things that are unfriendly for your hero, and this random part of the game I think goes really well with the theme. This game has got so much content and this is crazy. You have this campaign, you have the zone survival, you have so many different cards and so many different ways to play the game. So this is really cool because this game, just the base game, the base game here without any stretch goals, without any additional miniatures and anything, feels like a complete full game. Of course, I wouldn't mind additional campaign missions, and for example having 12 missions instead of 6 would be nicer, but I never had this idea that I'm playing a game, this like typical crowdfunding game where a lot of elements from the game are taken out and packed into separate expansions. For me, this is a complete full game. I had a lot of fun playing it. It's full of content, full of replayability. So this is really nice. And of course, if you have FOMO and if you want everything, there were many different things on the campaign, especially some like visual components. You have miniatures for anomalies, for monsters, even some 3D terrain. But to be honest, apart from the enemies that maybe having miniatures would be more easier to play with instead of standees, having all this 3D terrain doesn't really help that much. I have seen some videos on YouTube where someone played the S.T.A.L.K.E.R, the board game, with all the fancy 3D terrains and walls and everything, and I think that it was not really that you couldn't see well everything on the board because the terrain covered some overlays and sometimes tokens were not that visible. So I think for me the plain board is great and works really well. A fun game. If you like tactical games and not dungeon crawlers and not games like Zombicide where you run around, but if you want some survival type of games, difficult games, games in which you have to plan and you have to make a strategy, if you like those old school tactical and turn-based adventure games like maybe Jagged Alliance or Fallout, definitely play S.T.A.L.K.E.R the board game because this is a really fun, well-designed and great game. I had a lot of fun playing it. I want to finish the campaign. I want to play the zone survival mode. It's Fun game. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have backed this game on GameFound or if you plan to get this game in retail. I'm not sure if it will be in every board game shop, but a lot of Awaken Realms games are available in many different board game shops, so this one probably should be as well. Let me know in the comment. Click the like button if you like the video, subscribe to my channel, visit me on social media, and thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.